action. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining this workshop. And as Jessica briefly mentioned, and I will also introduce myself a little bit more. And this is my privilege and honor to be able to present and also talk about, to lead this workshop, especially as we, in this conference, we reimagine how community look like right after the COVID-19. You know, like we are still at the maybe at the end part, I would hopefully say, of COVID, and then we can also talk about the situation in Burma and in light of biblical insight. So my name is Naw San Dee KD, and I joined Central in 2020 in the middle of COVID, and I currently, actually, I just teach online classes. Currently, I am here located in the Bay Area in California, in San Francisco Bay Area, and I work at the Graduate Theological Union. I am a research librarian there, and also I am a pastor of a local church, San Francisco Christian Baptist Church. So this church has been founded about over 10 years ago. After I finished my study, and I moved over here to Bay Area and started this community. And so we are now, getting more people and also more involved with the community in this Bay Area as well. So today I am going to share my presentation PowerPoint, and mostly there will be a different part that we will, as a workshop, we will do some biblical teaching, biblical insight, and the second part is going to be talk about situation in Burma. Some of you to update some of this things happening in Burma, and also the third part will be we will have some community conversation as well. So we will take like 20 minutes each. So allow me to share my screen with you right now. So as our themes for this conference is a community, the value of community. And especially it is relevant to talk about Kohelet, it's Ecclesiastic, chapter 4, verses 9 to 12. So as a pastor and also student of the Bible, so I would like to look us to be grounded in the scripture text first, and then we can how this text can give us insight into our current context as well. So the first, so this is an agenda for us today. We have about 1 hour and 25 minutes, 20 minutes now. So the first part we're talking about Kohelet, Ecclesiastic. It's imagination of community, and how Kohelet described and also prescribed for us and for his time, and so how we can also reimagine for us in light of this insight. So second part is going to be talking about Burmese context, and since starting, especially, I would like to focus on 2021 to until now. And the third part is we will open it up for community conversation as we move forward. Let's do some focus on our text for this conference as well. Kohelet, the book of Ecclesiastic, is especially that there is a teacher, or Kohelet is a kind of, you can loosely if translated as a teacher, a seer, and also summoner, something like that. So is the teacher, and his perspectives can be sometimes very gloomy, but as we will see, he has a lot of things realistically to talk about situation in lives as well. So let's talk a little bit about Kohelet worldview, the book of the writer of the book of Ecclesiastics. So Martin Luther read Ecclesiastic as a book that about politics and also the family. So he's it is about human existence in the context of creation order. So you have, in a way that biblical scholar recognize the importance of Genesis in the thinking of Jewish Israelites philosopher. So when we talk about a man, it is not good for a man to be alone and something like that. They are at the background of this. Their thinking is also the book of Genesis, the creation order as well. And so, in terms of Kohelet's approach to in this book is also about descriptive. He will mention about what's going on in the court, what's going on in the community, what's going on in the governance, and he will describe them. And also, he not just only describe the situation, he will also reflect on things. So how he thinks about the things are going on, and also suggests us, what we should think about. It is also prescriptive. So all this, even though sometimes we focus on only about his descriptive part, so we get really discouraged by the message. There's the language like hell and everything's vanity and something like that. But his worldview seems like the world is changing, changeless, and we are as a human cannot comprehend the workings of this creation, and also injustice is everywhere. There's nothing you can do about it. But at the same time, it's talk about how we can enjoy life that God has given us. It's how you seize the day that you have. So it's always pointed out to current and present time to be appreciated. So in light of this, let's look at what Kohelet's context that he's talking to. So this wise man, this seer, this teacher spoke to the people of Jerusalem, especially a biblical scholar think that this is urban audience. The message that listen to is a Jerusalem setting during the Persian periods, when the Persian Cyrus allowed a group of leaders to come back to Jerusalem and to rebuild, and then also not only rebuild Jerusalem, but also they provide this very sophisticated bureaucratic mechanism to govern the subject. So it is in the time that bureaucracy is become very centralized, and also when you look at the whole picture, the Persian kings is in the central, and also after that, this is a top-down scenario. It's a Persian nobles who will serve as go between the subjects and the kings, and also local governors. Like we will have Nehemiah and all the governors, local governors, and also the third tiers of this governance as well. So this this organization structure is a kind of Kohelet reflects on this. So when oppressions happen, you cannot even find who is responsible because it is so complicated. The governance structure is constructed. So, and when in the cases of fight ignite, it says if you see an oppression of the poor and the violation of justice and righteousness in the province, do not be astounded over the matter. For a high official watch over another high official, and high officials above them. So it is a very complicated governance system was introduced, and oppressions was everywhere. So this is a kind of the context that Helen is talking about. And the audience, when we look at the audience, the author used like my sons and also the young people and as also people. So that's why the biblical scholar suggests that this is a younger audience who understand the situation. When we think about Gen Z in Burma, talking about this student, this audience understand the situations and life situation there, and then so also they can communicate. They are well learned and then they're advanced student, and so let's student, when you look at this, they are more open-minded, and then also they are also struggling with their figuring out life situation as well. So this is the audience that he are addressing to, that we can also see that. And also here at the text that we are more delved into, this is a text that this conference also focus on. Is two are better than one because they have a good reward for the toil. For if they fall, one will lift up the other, and woe to the one who is alone and falls and does not have another to help. Again, if two lie together, they keep warm, but how can one keep one alone? Keep one alone. And though one might prevail against another, two will withstand one. A threefold cord is not quickly broken. So let's look at a little bit this detail into this text. So when we look at the whole Ecclesiastes chapter 4, you see the Kohelet is pointing that pervasiveness of oppressions is everywhere, and also the thing is also there is nobody to comfort them, nobody to stand with them, nobody understand. So this is a kind of, he is articulating the feeling of the people. There's none to comfort. How can we find? So in Justice of Life, he describing it. His role as intellectual. When we assume our positions as intellectual, you have to describe, the truth and also expose the lie. So this is what he's doing, describing what is going on, and also in light of that, he also reflect a situation in life, not outside, but human life in general. We are. He used the metaphor of, perils of traveling alone through the wilderness. When you on this trip, it's already difficult. So especially it's more difficult if you are going and walking alone. So he's talking about, when you travel, you get cold, you travel, when you get in trouble, you fall down, there's nobody. So it is an image of travelers that he is talking about in life. So life is already a lot of challenges, but what you need is companion. What you need is a community. Yeah, that's just what he's going forward. So that's why when we look at it, in light of the whole chapter 4, in the beginning, the first parts 7 and 8 talk about, our work, our skills come from our jealousy toward other. We compete, envy each other. A lot of jealousy is talking about. But in a way that he prescribed it is cooperation is better than competition in life. So he's talking about collaboration and not competition. So when we look at chapter 7 and 8, neighbors against neighbor. So that's it's no good. So but what is better is collaboration that he is prescribing. He is going forward to it. And also he also leading to, in this perils of traveling, is talking about community, solidarity is the way to go. Two is better than one, reply caught. So he's talking about, the importance of numbers, importance of working together to go through life challenges. So here, he did mention about struggle in life, oppressions, injustice, but in a way that he counter is to solidarity, to form a community. And also in life, he also is kind of, in a way to resist stronger one. If you cannot resist, two cannot, one cannot resist strong one, two is better, three is much even better. In a way that life, if there's a strong, we must defend ourselves against a stronger person. He is kind of talking about it, even, in a posture that life is in a way you have to resist some injustice. You have to defend, you have to stand together as well in this perils of traveling. So that's why when we look at the Kohelet, its teachers, its community is everything. You work hard in life, but if there's no one to share, what's the point? So the community itself is end. Life trouble, life struggle with the community is a completion. It ends in a form you can. So that's why when we look at our Christian theology, we talk about Trinity. Why Trinity become very important. If you share, two persons share our enjoyments, it's complete when we share our value, we share our love, we share our purpose. So and also even our joy is complete when we are able to share with others. So community is important. It's end to itself. So you work hard, but you need to have somebody to share. So that's why it is. And also second one, a community is a strategy, it's a mean. It's to counter life difficulty. So community has a purpose. Community is a mean to when we travel in these perils of life. So this is a community is also as a mean, also as an and also a means, and also community is also intentional act. It doesn't. You talk about if you need persons who doesn't have family, who doesn't have share, is a worse. It's a bad thing. But he kind of later he suggested if you don't have a decent community of decent, that's mean your family, your blood. That is a way that you have to be community of consent, not that where you share value and you are able to form with your interests and values and beliefs, all these things. So important thing is to form a community to three-ply cord is kind of suggesting toward that, it is an intentional act to do that as well. It's a kind of diagnosis to that, if you alone is not good, but you can still, two is better, but you can still form a community as well. So in light of this, let's talking about the importance of community. We are going to switch a little bit to the current situation in Burma as well. So as some of us may not have known the current update, so here Burma is in the situation of limbo now. We don't really know what the future holds for the situation in Burma, but the events took place that led to current situation is to 2021 Spring Revolution in Burma. It's called Udolani. It started in February 1st. So what the background of the situation is that we have for several years as quasi-democratic system of governance. There's a state councillor Aung San Suu Kyi, and there's a NLD party, also kind of administration is in charge of administration, but the really power behind is military still. So that's why I call it quasi-democratic system until 2021. But because it's a 2008 in constitution enable, to keep military in power, whatever governance or whatever people elect, military will still be in power. So that's the way that they created this 2008 constitution. So as long as the government, Burma use this constitution, go by under this constitution, military will still be holding the power, and the civilians government will be just some quasi authority position as well. So and also because of NLD's landslide victory again in 2020, and so government, military also feeling like they are losing its grips on the situation in Burma, so changing, it's that point of no return. So militaries got worried. So it's a coup happened in February 1st. The first day of Parliament sitting in 2021. So after that, things started changing as well. So when we look at situation, nationwide demonstration happened. It is, I think, it's more people involved even in 1988 uprising. All walks of life. We as Christians participated as farmers. Especially the front and center is Generation Z, and so mothers and every part of the community, every walks of life involved in this revolution. So it happened for several months, and here are some of the picture when we see even a pregnant mother. Also have their own community to go against the stronger person, and the older woman, older group, and also different kind of generation. If you with through period with different postures, to go against this military governments. You can see that. And also especially Generation Z is very advanced. We are astounded and by their thinking, their action, their creativity, and their bravery. That's just still, it will be historic. This Generation Z, that's some of you don't read Burmese, so this Korean lady. She's holding that. Don't shoot me. I have not have a husband yet. So she, it's a kind of also there is some taking life with humor situation. Sorry. Okay. So that's why. And then a lot of Generation Z. This on the right side. Those are some of the Generations Z who give their life because of this government crackdowns and brutal suppression. That's why this is a younger one. Some of them are medical student, engineer student, and also college student. And also there are different ways to resist. Here and CDM is called civil disobedient movement. Is many government employees, they stop working, and so the kind of civil disobedient movement also quite successful, and to counter the government's and also it created a lot of repression because of that. Also, some kind of violence situation broke out. Also, many form with just sometimes that the whole cities just stay home. The silence protest. So the Rangoon, sometimes you will not see anyone on the road. Those kind of very creative way to counter it, and also that. This three fingers up is it's a kind of adaptation from Hunger Games. It's a gesture of disobedient rebellion, and so they do all this creative way to counter the brutal regime. And as you will expect, as a violence crackdowns went on and is still going on with a lot of arrests going on this day. If you had a CDM, that's means you are government employee but you don't show up for work as a civil disobedient. A lot of people are arrested. It's continue as well. And if you live in a government housing, you don't go to work, you are evicted, and many ways and of revolts as going on in the situation. So when you look at the number, it is not it is very dire number in terms of fatality and something like that. So so every part of the, it might be better to show this one again first. So right after this nationwide civilians revolts, the student take arms as well as CD, it's a People Defense and Force PDF form, and then many students went for armed struggle. So now it's continue the armed struggles, conflicts were going on, is going on, every part of the country. So this is 14 states, and also fatality, when we look at it, is over 10,000. This is an estimate. It can be more, but we don't have anything substantive, taking all this step as well. But to point out that it is more fatalities is going on in any part of the world currently, wherever brutal regimes is holding power. So. So what happened after this uprising was that there is a shadow governments. Aung San Suu Kyi is still in custody, but some of the members formed this National Unity Government (NUG), and they are in hiding, but they formed this shadow government, and they are leading this counter movement across the country in terms of, under this, they formed this People Defense Force. This is armed struggle wing to counter the military regime as well. United States, it's now, it has many fronts. Once in a while, it shows its interest to what's going on in Burma, and also here, President Biden talk about continued commitment to the situation in Burma in February, and also it's got it's also have another fronts to deal with now, especially its focus on Ukraine and other things. So the focus on Burma is also waning. So as well. So that's why it's, people of Burma expected many kind of, they have a lot of expectation for international community, but so far there's nothing that's really effective to the situation has been deployed to the situation. So only thing is that we as a community, what can we do about the situation? And people of Burma are traveling alone in this situation, and how coherent the message will speak to us. So I want to ask to open up as a workshop our community conversation about some of the questions that I think that we should talk about, and then so I will also summarize with my thinking as well. So let's I want to take a pause here, and then let's us talk about what is a community in light of Kohelet teaching, and also in light of our current situation as well. So we can talk a little bit about, and then we can also come back together and share as well. So anybody will take about maybe 5-10 minutes about for this topic, and then we can go to another question as well. What is a community?
Names from, this is Jessica, from the wonderful exegesis you gave us at the beginning, that a part of that understanding of community is around resistance and solidarity to injustice and oppression.
Very good. Yeah, this Kohelet thing is, it's if you read into the way he's coming from, it's a stronger one, it will be there. So for us is to come together to resist. So that's with a community with purpose, with intention. So let me outline a little bit about the community, and then we can also jump in there. Let me just quickly show. So what is community? When you can stop, and then you can this is time to talk. This is time for conversation. So just feel free if as I'm talking, I don't just you can stop me and then you can jump in what you think about. So in terms of community, it is an intentional gathering. Sometimes you can be you can be born in a particular family, particular ethnic group, particular country. So that's no choice. You can kind of part of community. It's called community of descent, as well. But sometimes its community is you have to form it intentionally as well, especially when you talk about a nation. It says, as Benedict Anderson said, a socially organized community imagined by people who perceive themselves as part of the group. So there needs to buy in as well. And also community is about creative art. Yeah, when COVID happened, you thought the community is people need to be together, and, physical closeness is important, we thought. But when you care about your community, but being a physical distant is also a way to care people within your community. So it is creative art, it is not said and done deal. So that's why this Maxine Kingston talk about community is not built once and for all. People have to imagine, practice, and recreate it. Now we already have a little bit community that's concerned with what's going on in Burma. So that's why we are here. And so it is at the beginning, purposeful as well. So we, especially now, because of the COVID, and also a lot of situation, every community, every churches, every seminary has to reimagine how we can do it, in a virtual community, Zoom community, something like that. So it is a kind of creative art. So this in our hand. And also, it is a strategy, as a coherent strategy for sure, to go against life perils. And also at the beginning of the church, Jesus talked about in the church to reach out to the world, 2 and 3 gather together. Jesus prescribed about the need for community to reach out to the larger world as well. So that's why community is kind of our intentional. When here I look at, I write down a little bit of example of root. Root is not Israelite; it's a Moabite, but she's very creative in the way that forming your people, my people, your God, my God. It's intentional of forging of a community as well. So in light of this, it is a kind of leading to this. Why do we need the community? What why do we need a community? So let's also take some time. If we have some thought on this, we can talk about what is community, why do we need community, and what kind of community that we need to forge. So let's take a little bit of time for a conversation as well.
So I think that I'm CJ, by the way. I think that the work that we're describing isn't done in isolation. You pointed out that this type of work is done in a collaborative manner. And so it necessitates building and being in community to be able to do this type of work. And I think about resistance. Resistance feels different when there is one person, and the resistance feels different when there are multiple persons involved.
Very good. Thank you so much, CJ.
I think we need community for survival. We need community for camaraderie and just that sense of team and all of those good things. And also, I think we need community for progress, to make a difference, to whether it is resistance or whether it is bettering our communities. We are always more powerful when we work together. So just a few thoughts.
Thank you so much. Yeah, especially in light of situation in Burma and also Kohelet teaching. The community as a solution. When we look at the reading Genesis, Genesis talk about man and a person it's not good for man to be alone. Talk about that. Now, when the dangers of being alone, CJ is talking about, you do one by oneself, and also coming together as a community. It's a kind of, when you become alone, it's become dangerous. And that's what totalitarians are built around. So community is always God's solution. Even God's, drove them out from the garden, God still keep them with the community, together. It's in a kind of solution to life problems, our shortcomings, or even sin of individual.
So what I do have a question. So I think that there is a dimension in Kohelet that lends itself to the struggle that Kohelet is trying to build community and identify certain things that are happening in community. But I think Kohelet steps back and speaks to Kohelet's self and says, where am I contributing to the frustration in community? So my question to this group is, how do we overcome conflict within communities? Like when we're building community and being collaborative, there are differences that exist in that community, different perspectives, different experiences. And so how does a community who is trying to be collaborative, who is trying to be resistant also maintain confidence in the community in itself when conflict is happening. And so because Koheleth says is struggling with himself as well. And so if a Koheleth is struggling with itself, I think it lends itself to a community will struggle within itself. So how do we as a community work through struggling within itself?
That's really a great question and made me think a little bit too about the presentation about what is happening within Burma and the differences in response between nonviolent civil disobedience and armed resistance. And so the differences within the community about how to resist and oppose what is happening with the coup.
My name is Jerry, and I'm a friend of Jeff Busher. And my comment would be that all of our examples today have been community in opposition to a community. And so does the community have to have an opponent?
So kind of, let's look at my slide. Says some few thoughts, kind of also reflective of what you have said. So why do we need a community? You know, perils of isolation. If you're alone in life, Koheleth apparently mentioned about, peril. The Saul Kesson wrote about this false confession. This author talk about, that when you isolate these young kids, when you talk about the false confession in New York, especially, if you isolate a person without contact with the different, outside world, what happened is a lot of false confession happen, because of lack of social support and lack of information, and that's this very dangerous place to be. People react and act very dangerously. So now when we look at North Korea and when you isolate, the way that why we need community is that now current situation in Burma, and we try to figure, because of this online Zoom, in a way, it's a lot of, it's a blessing that we can come in contact with the people of Burma, and also in a way that we can show our support as community. Our different ethnic groups are showing support and different activities are going on. Even here in America, we have every month, we will have some kind of talks, some kind of fundraising, and some kind of activities that support our people of Burma in a way that they will feel not isolated. Isolation is, we experienced that while we were under the socialist government. Isolation created, it brings people moral down. So that's why we need community. We have to forge community in a way that to counter the situation. I think also Dr. Busher also briefly mentioned about progress. This is when we come together as a community. Individuals are fallible. You can be very smart, you can be very, but we must be humble as individual and confident as community, for our future. This is here at UC Berkeley, Professor Saul Palmuter talk about, he's as astrophysicist, as a Nobel laureate, talk about, as a community, you can be confident when we do together. We need how, especially he talks about in the context that, universe is expanding and something like that is a very also accelerating and something like that. So feeling like very scary situation. But his diagnosis is like, if we are humble enough as an individual and as a community, we are confident, we can be confident for the future. So our solution for progress its community become very critical in a way to also to resonate with Kohelet as well. And also, community is a process that we must go through. As an individual, sometimes we are by ourselves. Our egos is something that that's the only thing that you can see. But when you are in a community, we have to now CJ's thing, how we can negotiate, how to all this opposition, how do we live together, all the differences. So that's what here we let other people, Richard Rohr, talk about community, and then this is a community when we get other people in, and also we move ourselves out. So how we can be in spiritually also this community is needed. So that's what in the Bible we talk about. You can worship God or listen to a sermon. You don't have to belong in a church, but you have, the community is needed, because where it's all your Christian living, all your beliefs become actualized, where you believe is practice, how you become mature, how you become so that's why we in a community we need community for ourselves and for human progress and as well. So this is a kind of thinking that I in terms of Kohelet, also in terms of current situation in our spiritual life as well. So if you want to add any to this, well, welcome to that.
Naw San, this is Heidi.
Hey,
How are
Heidi.
you? Anyway, hi. I'm thinking about the conflict in community, and I'm thinking that if you have a strong community with shared values and maybe a vision or whatever's holding you together, I'm wondering if we couldn't embrace the conflict to help refine our objectives and goals and where we're going and how we want to do it. Embrace the conflict in such a way that it helps to develop further community. Yes, I acknowledge there may be differences of opinion, even. And that may result in a splitting apart of the community, which then develops into two stronger, more thriving aspects of a similar yet different arrangement of the community. So I just don't want us to think about conflict as being something, I mean, it can take apart community, but it doesn't necessarily have to, because even Malcolm X and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had moments where they came back together or closer together toward the end of their careers, or what we knew as, we didn't know at the time, but it became the end of Martin Luther King Jr.'s career. Okay, thank you. That's all I want to say.
Thank you so much, Heidi. Yeah, the setback of our community. I wrote a dissertation on an imagined community. It's a long time ago. So the setback of the community is to become so easily become a tribalistic. It just to set a boundary and then just for the good of the small segment of it. But this is always going to be a danger part of community that we don't talk that much about. How community become this becomes dangerous, and so it's and also to piggyback on this conflicts within differences between community. And I think I just had a student came yesterday, student from is a law student from UC Berkeley. He said, I want to study the inner contradiction in the Torah, and especially in Talmud, and how this something, one idea can be also taken differently by the people. So I pointed to the, you look at the Talmud, when you look at the Talmud, you will see all this different interpretation from different rabbis, and also it doesn't mean that this is one is right, because two different opposing part come together, even get a better interpretation of that text. So that's we as a community has to assume that there will be different point of views as a history, and a different point of view means it's a good thing. It's a forging toward a better. That's why community the ends is to be different within. As long as you become one voice, that's no more community anymore that we are imagining it. You become one voice, one thing. That's become tribalistic and totalitarian. So as long as this robust communication and then different point of views are transacted, so it's moved towards a better perfect, more perfect union, I would say, to someone to invoke the Constitution.
So I excuse me, I'm CJ again. I appreciate Dr. Baxter pointing out the contrast and the conflict that existed between Malcolm X and Martin King that had not occurred to me in my question. As a way of being collaborative and resistant, the philosophies of both of those leaders were different, and they were able to work through them in a way that pushed resistance. My question is, in the way in which we form communities today, and thinking about Martin Luther King and the civil rights movement of the 1960s, Martin Luther King soon became the face of the civil rights movement. And when he was assassinated, the civil rights movement fizzed out as a movement, as a collective, into smaller pockets of communities. And so my question to the group is, in community building, do communities need a face, or do communities need many faces? And what does that look like? What does that mean as practical and functional, and maybe even integrative?
Well, CJ, since we're colleagues here, yes, the There probably only needs to be 2 or 3 things that a community agrees on. And looking back at notes from this morning, what is a community? And the third bullet under that was strategy. So there were several strategies in the civil rights movement. And Martin Luther King had one strategy, Malcolm X had another. But there was a commonness was a goal. 2 or 3 things can make the goal, make the community. But there might be several strategies to get to that goal. My personal example would be, I just helped finish writing a history of the Karen people of Burma, which is why I'm interested in this topic. And so the Karen people have a dream. I could share that dream, but I can't even speak Karen. And I think Representative today is a Chen, probably shares that dream, but does not belong in that community. There's 2 or 3 things that unite us. And so there are several strategies to get to that 2 or 3 common denominators. And I'm a friend of Jeff Fisher.
Thank you so much. All right, and a later part we can also talk about, how we can imagine, especially in this the issue now current situation in Burma, and definitely they need a kind of community to stay on course, to be hopeful as well. So let's go to another question, and then you can stop me anytime that you want to contribute. Thank you so much so far. So now we talking about, what do we want to accomplish? What kind of community need to be? What basis that we need to look for in the community? And here's some of my thought. So community. Why do we forge communities? One thing is I am because this African philosophy that I am because you are. We are really. We have this shared community as well. So even though you are anywhere, especially with globalization, bring us together in a way. Anywhere something happens, and we are not isolated in terms of shared humanity as a human beings. And so we when we start thinking about it, because we have this shared humanity. That's a basic of it. So the second one is why community is needed, especially in like a resistant, something like that. If you feel the pain, it's a Leo Tolstoy said, if you feel the pain, you are alive, human, but you feel the other people's pain, you're a human being. So this is a way, empathy, because we not only a shared community, we understanding that we are human. We are created by God. We are image bearer. And second, is why we think this community base need to be is that empathy, feeling people's other pain. That's how you get the way God deals with us human being too. Showing empathy, showing one with us and sharing our pain, not just joy, sharing pain is the way that we, the community needs, has to be some basis of community has to be. And also, it is solidarity that particularly the Kohelettes talk about. You know, there's Eduardo Galeano from Argentinian's author said, you know, when we talk about in Burma situation, you know, in majority war, third war, we talk about how we can help money or something like that in charity. And, you know, what we really need in this kind of situation is not that. Yeah, he said that I don't believe in charity. I believe in solidarity. Charity is so vertical, you know, it goes from the top to the bottom. Solidarity is horizontal. It respects the other person. Have to learn a lot from other people. So this is also basics of community, so that we don't repeat, you know, the pattern that sustain current situation. You know, this two-third war, this Western war, this first war, you know, helping our other in kind of, you know, in terms of monetary or something like that. It's good to some extent, but really it's a solidarity as a humanity, and it's our empathy. And these are the, I think, the basics of the community that's especially we can imagine in the situation in Burma. And even though we are away from the country, and this some basics is we need to keep in mind. That's my thoughts. And now I am going to open up, you know, what, you know, kind of community do we imagine? What kind of community is needed, even in any situation in terms of here, what's going on in Burma and what's going on in Central and what's going on wherever we are in America. So the last round of discussions is open for everyone, and let's open up any discussion that you're interested to share.
This is Hannah. I keep thinking about communities I am in right now, and it's my middle conviction. I need to think that I need to put 100% to the community and to be available for the communities I belong to, because I get comfort, help, support, all the good things from the communities I belong to. But looking at my current situation, I have young children. My oldest one is 12, which is not that young, but she needs my attention. So the more time I give to the community, the less time goes to my family. So I'm at the point that I need to be aware of my time and energy that I can spend on certain things, because I'm not like there are limits. Like, so I used to think that giving 100% to the community is a great thing. Like, you need to be available for the community. But now I understand there are times when you can be like 50%. Like I also keep thinking about that community gatherings at Central, like Refractory or other gatherings. There are some people who show up for this event, but there are some people who cannot show up for this event. And I understand better, because my life itself is busy. So I understand that there are like other priorities. So your presentation makes me think about my current situation and how much I'm giving to the community, and how much I will be giving like, in the future when I'm at it. So that's my thought.
And I think that there's power in knowing that these communities exist, right? And so when you do have time or you need support, you know where to go. So I take joy in knowing that there are communities that exist to retreat to when I need support or I'm contributing to resistance or sharing that humanity. But also am aware of healthy boundaries that are being made. Because as much as I would want to be 100% involved, it's life just doesn't happen that way. And I've learned to be okay with that. It's life. And I think, you know, in a way you are building community because your family is with you. And I think that's contributing to the larger conversation in a way.
I'm learning to set healthy boundaries for my family. So let's do that.
And our commitment is really, as Christ followers, is not to a community. Our commitment is to Christ. Excuse me for being pious and bringing that in, but Christ will put us to focus on this community or this family member, or those communities will shift, I think, based on the direction of the Lord.
I'm Sankom. I'm from Burma. I'm very interested in this topic. I learned Naw San Dee was he talking as Gohila is the framework. I'm very interested in Bashan King and he presentation in Israel. They are the bondage in BCE 400, and we see the Daniel and Ezekiel, Jeremiah is I think is Naw San Dee talk about the bondage and their suffering. It's we promise people is not the value common, not the value community. It's I participate. I'm the 1988 is the COP and 2021 February 1st. I'm suffering in Burma, but we are the I think about the what can we do is Naw San Dee is talk about I'm very Donald Trump said that it's a thin skinning. Thin skinning is in Burma. In Burma is we fight we are the rule of we are the rule of the democracy and rule of the rule democracy is we are very like, but now it's in northern or southern is we fight the freedom, we fight the freedom democracy in BTF or we BTF people defense force. Naw San Dee said about the last work is a framework, progress or process, process, solidarity is a very what can we do is we Burma this workship is a very what can we do, what can imagine the current we are very suffering people. We need we need the R2B order. We need the passion. Passion kid is actually bondage. They are the damage of the liberation. Damage the some power people or the power country have support in Burma. What can we do? Is
Thank you so much, everyone. Sankom, especially we heard some voice from Burma. Especially Bible is always entertaining for people of Burma. Especially we live under regimes, and Bible stories and narratives resonate with us and always encourage us and to move forward. So that's I'm so glad that our friends from Burma can also join us, and it's also started to form kind of community, so we can continue how we can resist in a way that we creatively forge a community and wherever we are and whatever we are called to. So thank you so much for joining. I think it's already times is up. So some of you are going to lunch, I understand, and then some of us will go back to our work and job. So thank you so much for inviting me for this short workshops and thinking about community.
Thank you, Naw San Dee.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Heidi, are you kin to Ed Baxter?
I am his daughter.
Wow. I used to worship down at the Judson Baptist Church in Arkansas when I go on vacation down there.
Yeah, he served there. I used to go worship there too when I was on vacation.
Well,
It was a great small church.
we should have vacation at the same time. I'm now over at Grace Baptist Church where he and Carolyn used to be.
Ah, I see. Okay.
Good to meet you.
Good to meet you too. Take care.
Have a good day, Dr. Baxter.
Thanks. I will talk to you later.
Absolutely.
All right.
He deserves an A minus.
New Testament. I'm sorry, Hebrew Bible.
Oh, so he doesn't own this.
Uh-huh.
Did you have to take Hebrew?
Not the language, just the text. I do have an interest in it. I think we should start.
So what are the language requirements? Master,